How's it going, everybody? What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another live stream. It is Saturday evening, almost 6 p.m. And what's up for today is basically since my last TV fights, Doctor Who fights, which was 2 weeks ago now, I haven't been doing nothing. I've been working on the next TV fights idea pretty much every day. I just haven't landed on the right one. Something really interesting about that, since I've been pretty consistent with uploads, like I have to be pretty acknowledge that I'm pretty grateful for how much progress that I've seen, like on weekends, like even last weekend up until this week, typically balanced weekends. I should be weighing and being humble about the wins, like being able to do balanced things compared to all the problems there is to complain about. Anyway, like with my creative strives, it's like, sorry for saying like and starting so much, by the way. Anyway, I I have a TV fights idea, but it's too difficult. It's advanced kind of work to summarize more than three thoughts about the episodes that I want to review into more than just a few sentences that would last like a minute, 2 minutes worth of content, knowing me. So this is not the expectation that I had for myself, but in many ways I am living up to, since I first had the idea for TV fights a little over 3 years ago now and wanted to execute it and deleting it out of perfectionism. I have a big goal for myself, and that goal is to do 7 more episodes of TV fights this year. So I'm giving myself all year. That means like one a month if I'm lucky. That's 14 episodes to think about reviewing. Some of it is coming pretty natural to me. I just need to kind of clear the muddy waters of kind of what there is to talk about around these episodes. And then the second goal with content is Doctor Who fights, its own little category. So far, I've done 5 Doctor Who fights. I want to do at least 3 more. I want to have 8 that I completed in the time that I started TV fights. Of course, I'm doing it because I love it, not doing it to get popular or to spite anyone, to be like morally superior about anything. But like, no, like I love doing things like this that not a lot of people are really doing. And it's stuff that I can talk about, stuff that I also know to filter through to leave some topics out of the conversation. Anyway, so the immediate next step for me to take, because in those 2 weeks since the last TV fights, Doctor Who fights, I have been watching a lot of potential episodes to review and writing a few sentences about each. If anything, yeah, I want to make sure that enhances in my long-term memory as I do other healthy habits. Um, like reading for hours out of the week anyway, right? So I haven't really edited anything since Beryanovich, which was last week. Pretty happy with how that turned out. Some unexpectedly funny rewatchable things about it, and it's a good start to if I want to upload around 7 unique little short films this year. Doing it to make up for the years in 2017, 2021, 2023, where I was consistently uploading but deleted it out of whatever perfectionism. And in a way, I should be okay with deleting that work that is not on the internet anymore. And some of it's like clips of those years still exist, like in my device and stuff, but not uploaded online. Because, yeah, I guess in a way, like, I probably deleted it out of a reason. Probably felt like public humiliation, even though I tried really hard. And making videos around that time, especially since I was working hard on myself too, it was a good time to make videos. And I can always look back fondly. I should, in fact, if anything, take time trying not to look back on those years, especially 2023, 2021, where I made and deleted a lot of content and worked really hard. I should take a while where I don't think about those times because they can kind of bring me down. And the important stuff about those times will always come back if I'm working hard for it. So anyway, not like 2022, I wasn't working hard either. It's just a couple of those years, it feels like I'm playing a waiting game compared to now, where I am genuinely like having ideas, taking action on ideas for content, but a lot of failure in the past, even few weeks, let alone few months and few years, even as recently as the last couple of weeks, having ideas for videos, reviews, and it failing. But anyway, right? I'm live streaming this for the purposes of getting over that barrier, being like, all right, I can articulate myself. I've improved on some things a little bit since I first started live streaming last month. It's like I want to talk out my process. All right. So that's enough rambling. Didn't expect to ramble for 5 minutes about what I'm doing. We're here to watch Modern Family because for TV fights, the potential is to review Modern Family. In fact, I was going to do a top 10 Modern Family episodes, which I was pretty close to finishing. I don't think I got to 10 episodes because it is very subjective how you rank those episodes, because certain plots and stuff kind of resonate with what you go for in TV, which I'll talk a little bit more about later. But yeah, when I make a TV fights, which I will eventually, I don't know if it'll be done by the end of this week. I don't know if it'll be done by March, as early as then. But yeah, I'm in a pretty good place to start working on that. So with I haven't picked which Modern Family episode I'm gonna review just yet. I was originally gonna make a top 10 Modern Family episodes list. I guess I could share the screen, but I'm just gonna read what episodes I chose for that list. I chose The Wedding, a very iconic, good episode. American Skyper, the season 6 finale. Was it season 7? I think it was season 6, where it's like a family gathering and Alex is going away. Then The Long Honeymoon. That's the one after the wedding where the family's having the perfect vacation. I shouldn't be summarizing these episodes that much, if in case I do choose any of these episodes to make a video on. Anyway, next episode is The Wine Weekend from season 9, I believe. Then we have Connection Lost, a pretty unanimously liked episode. So that's 5. Then the next one is The Party, which is the one where Phil and Mitchell get high. That's kind of the best part about the episode. I don't really care that much about the episode, but if people rank it in their favorites, I wouldn't disagree. Then The Prescotts from season 11, one of the best last episodes of the show, that plays on what the show does so well, like double entendres and stuff, misunderstandings, miscommunications. And so is that 7? Then I have Little Bo Peep. I think it's called something else, but the one where Lily swears. Yeah, I find it heartwarming, funny. Yeah. And then for an honorable mention, I had Phil's Sexy House, where the characters are going into the nice house for different reasons. But yeah, so that's only 9 episodes and they're pretty subjective picks, if anything. Like for example, like Ariel Winters, one of my favorite characters. An episode I think about in recent days was where she beats the family at board games all the time and stuff, and so she's versusing Luke in Scrabble, and Luke's mom Claire is helping him cheat in Scrabble so he can beat her. But then she finds out that they're cheating and ends up like being smug about winning anyway. Like I like that. That's like the type of plot that I look for in a Modern Family episode. But like that was only a third of that episode, and it was the weakest. Less attention given to that plot out of the other 3 plots. But yeah. So anyway, for research, for picking an episode that I review for my TV fights for Modern Family, because that's definitely on deck. Other shows that are potential TV fights, iCarly, definitely pretty close to picking an episode for that. Sweet Life on deck. I'm pretty close to picking an episode that I want to review for TV fights with that show. Probably Victorious. I don't really know Drake and Josh if I have that much opinions on it anymore. But maybe, yeah. Potentially Trailer Park Boys. Thinking of shows that I really love over the years and I'm very familiar with. Probably Rick and Morty, but in recent years, like my favorite episode is probably the Panda Express episode. So yeah, it's hard. It's hard to clear the muddy waters. But that's the type of work that I'm going to be doing, that I should be doing, that feels good after, that should feel good after I complete it. Not necessarily sometimes after I complete projects, I end up going back to feeling whatever crappiness about myself. So yeah, I do use video projects and uploading on my channel as a form of escape, pretty healthy, but also a good coping skill that if I could look back in a few months, have content on my channel that I'm proud of. Anyway, let's jump right into the research that I was about to do for the Modern Family TV fights. Let me share the screen. So this is a video by the channel The Take. They have some pretty good opinions and stuff. Yeah, like this is about Claire being the perfect husband wife. And yeah, I'm gonna watch it on stream because they have been bringing up some good points so far in this video. So let's talk about it.
Out of a sense of duty rather than an obvious maternal instinct, and she is far less emotional than her breadwinner husband Phil. Claire also feels like a more dominant personality in her marriage, but despite their tendencies towards less gender-scripted roles.
Hey, remember the day I proposed to you?
Of course I do. I don't remember the exact date, but yes.
March 19th, 1994.
In early seasons, neither one of the Dunphy parents is able to explore their natural skill sets. So as Claire goes back to work, in many ways, the Dunphys' journey over the show's run is towards a more utopian ideal of the family, where everyone is able to play to their strengths instead of remaining boxed in by prescriptive and restrictive roles. Here's our take on Claire Dunphy, the model for the husband wife.
Phil, honey, we'll do Valentine's Day later, okay?
A utopian family model.
If you're new here, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified about all of our new videos.
Because it's not always the type of parenting that you agree with, but it's not like bad parenting.
In order to understand Claire's psychology, we need to understand the traditional husband role a little more. Historically, the husband was the head of the household, and the role came with almost absolute power over finance, property, and members of his family, including his wife, who ordinarily didn't work.
I'm a housewife.
Multiple factors ranging from feminism to recessions mean that the roles of men and women at home and in the workplace have increasingly diversified. But for Claire, there's a personal reason she's gravitated toward more traditionally male attitudes and behaviors from an early age. She had an extremely strained and competitive relationship with her mother, who provided Claire with no support growing up.
My mom never went to
contributing factors
because
like
she was
this,
an incredibly competitive woman who didn't like to do very well at anything.
So she turned to her father, Jay, for guidance. As a result, Claire emulates Jay's behaviors in a...
Like, I was also going to put the episode Hero, My Hero, on the list from season 4. It's a simple episode, but like Claire's subplot seems to be the main purpose, where pretty much she's contemplating a job offer, shows some of her independence, like working the same role that she did at the arcade sort of roller rink job. Like, that stuff is not necessarily what I expected to find interesting, but it's yeah, it's good seeing her kind of contemplate these,
including the way she connects with other people. This is important because Jay is a very typical of his era patriarch, and Claire has inadvertently learned many of his rules on how to interact with family.
Dad,
I guess
you being so emotionally closed off makes it very difficult for your children to show affection.
She spends much of the show's run attempting to make up for and even unlearn these behaviors, but still, she's much less emotionally motivated than Phil. While Phil performs much of the family's emotional labor, doing traditionally feminine jobs such as remembering anniversaries and planning out beautiful gifts.
It's the actual porch swing where we had our first kiss.
Claire regularly forgets their anniversary, messes up presents, or neglects the more sentimental side of things.
You're so sweet and nice, and I can't even give you a decent anniversary present.
Though she lacks many feminine emotional tropes, there is one stereotypically female trait that Claire seems to embody. Early in the show's run, many fans commented on the fact that Claire was a nag. Phil managed to insinuate it in an early Valentine's episode where the two are playing different characters.
She's always so tired, and she's always making lists of things for me to do.
Maybe if she did them, she wouldn't be so tired.
Oh no, she can make lists for days.
But the attributes that these people dislike in her, such as her brusqueness and perfectionism, are actually key aspects of Jay's character, ones which he isn't derided for. As Alex says in season 3, when Claire runs for council and is referred to as unlikable.
It's just the word men use for powerful women because
this is the Little Bo Peep episode.
Forget everything else.
This is a good aspect of the episode.
Powerful.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Phil takes on a more gentle and emotional aspect of parenting, reframing the typical TV dad-husband role. In traditional TV families, the man is often cast as more aloof than his wife, taking a more formal relationship with the children because he doesn't know them as well, as he's out at work.
Yeah, we're going to talk and examine about Phil's character a little bit more, because I saw a couple of videos talking about him that I think would be very insightful, because I think Phil is one of the best characters. He's a good dad. He seems like a well-rounded person. You know, he's into magic. He's into nerdy stuff. He's a really good realtor. Like, he just seems like the type of well-rounded person you want to be at that age. But yeah, I'm curious to see what some of these other things people have said about him.
all day. In these typical portrayals, it's the wife's job to provide the children with affection and support, as well as facilitate their social lives and help with schoolwork. The father and husband's role is often framed as
Generational
primarily financial, while the mother's infinitely more emotional role is priceless, and therefore
changed.
not financially rewarded.
That
But in
wasn't the
Dunphy
case in
house,
my
Phil
house.
provides a lot of emotional support.
I know it hurts now, sweetheart, but that's how you know it was a relationship worth having.
And it's actually Claire's determination and shrewd business mind that keeps the household running smoothly in early.
Imagine in the future, like in this decade or in the 2030s, they make sitcoms about growing up in the 2000s or even the 90s. I don't think that would necessarily fly, you know, because things have changed so much. Traditional men, women, gender roles have changed of what different parenting styles offer, about different topics. About, I've seen a video talking about whether the kids on Modern Family are neglected. That's quite the argument to be made. I don't know if I'd agree with that. Like maybe Alex might be the most neglected for her talents and like workload and everything. Anyway, let's continue.
Seasons.
We have 6 hours totally kid-free on the 14th.
Hey, if we moved Alex's flight, we could have like 10 or 12 hours.
Dream bigger, hot pants. Step aside.
Because Claire is shown to derive a lot of value from work and financial compensation, in early seasons, she often seems to wonder what it would have been like if she could have stayed in the
Yeah.
workforce rather than becoming a stay-at-home mom. In season 1, we meet her former colleague, Valerie, who now has Claire's former dream job.
The thought of Val.
Claire is cool. She's respectable because she's organized. Like you listen to her when she talks about doing something skilled, whether it's kind of getting her way, manipulating her kids or husband, but like you get where she's coming from. Like, yeah, not my favorite character, but she's a good character. Yeah.
Valerie getting the one job in the whole company that everyone coveted. Well, I wasn't a lover of that.
And we see that in the face of this successful woman, Claire feels the need to justify her choice to stay at home with the kids, despite it being a common path for a mom in the 90s, and still for many now to have taken. We also see, even after she returns to work, she sometimes feels trapped and needs to get away from her family, not just the kids, but Phil too.
I may have mentioned to Frank that Phil might be available that week. The only thing better than a kid-free week is a couple of days carved out.
Nothing
just
wrong
for
with
Mama.
this.
This is very
A lot of people
real-life realistic,
would
but
do
it's
that.
still a fairly unusual portrayal of on-screen motherhood. Claire doesn't enjoy the mundane everyday tasks of motherhood in the way that many TV housewives are shown to. She finds many aspects of the housewife role thankless and genuinely stressful.
I know that from the outside, it seems like I have everything together.
No, not really.
My point is that my life can be
So
very
why is the
stressful.
title
And because she's so
Husband's Wife?
type A, she often exercises control in these areas, arranging the kids' activities in an intense, near business-like manner. In the episode
Oh.
Good Cop, Bad Dog, Claire and Phil attempt to swap
Yeah,
roles in an effort
see
to
what
give
I
her
mean
an
by
opportunity
organized?
to be the fun parent. But the way that Claire's mind works turns having fun into a challenge,
Kinda
which she thinks
systematic.
she can systematize.
Well, it's a
I
milkshake.
just said
Milkshake, 3 milkshakes.
I didn't really want a milkshake.
The way she handles things makes it seem to her family like she's really high-strung, which she
Yeah.
probably is, but that's in part because she's in a role that doesn't fit her, and she's trying to find
She is a
satisfaction
bit
by
high-strung,
replicating
yeah.
business at home. However, these aspects
just
of
have
Claire's
been
personality
saying
aren't
that, right?
necessarily negative. By bringing
Yeah,
her
it's not.
perfectionist streak into ordinary, everyday family
This is a funny
affairs, she
episode.
elevates them to her standard, and her shrewdness often serves them really well.
If you don't want people to come to you to solve their problems all the time, maybe don't be so good at it.
For example, even though Phil is supposed to be the emotionally intelligent spouse, it's Claire who susses out that Haley has lost her virginity and supports her through staying safe while keeping her secret. When Phil finds out, he has an overly emotional reaction, but Claire remains level-headed and trusting of Haley, which is a great parenting approach.
We can't treat Haley differently just because we both know what we know about her.
She
The
doesn't
show
do
is
that much.
unusually uncritical of Claire's tendencies towards traditionally masculine parenting and relationship
She's critical of
interactions.
Phil.
This is in part because of the mockumentary setup, which doesn't allow for much analysis in the way that other shows do. However, Phil's softness and Claire's hardness are consistently highlighted in a way that often feels skewed in a favorable light towards Phil.
My perfect romantic husband.
Nobody in their Modern Family reviews that I've seen so far has brought up how good the show is at double entendre jokes. But hopefully I hear someone say that soon, because I talk about
Who is
that.
far too good for this cold-hearted, bloodless wife bot.
In a way, this mirrors how in real life, many men who are more involved in family life or homemaking are widely worshipped for doing anything more than the bare minimum of what's expected. In a 2010 article about the post-recession shift towards men taking on more childcare while their
Post-recession
wives
shift?
worked, Tara Parker
That
Pope, the author of For Better,
resonates
The
with
Science
my
of a Good
family.
Marriage, quoted one house husband saying, "We have a social expectation that men simply won't be able to take care of their kids or meet their kids' emotional needs. But this is
Interesting.
patently untrue. And it's interesting that the modern family writers implicitly position Phil's sweetness of character as only possible
Yeah.
because Claire has an apparent deficit of this. Claire has given
Yeah,
up
I
a
like
lot for
that.
her family,
Phil
and she's
kinda
often
started the
positioned as negative and
emotions.
almost overly realistic in the face of Phil's dreams. On multiple occasions throughout the series, we see that she shuts down some of his more outlandish ideas.
For the record, I don't squash all of Phil's dreams, just the ones that are, potentially fatal.
But if we look at these things from her perspective, we can see that this is a form of preservation.
No, I'm so sorry, but your business was just taking off and the kids
No,
were
no,
really...
I don't want to hear it. My own wife is the reason I don't have a career in magic.
Phil's character
That was
also
a funny
highlights the way
episode.
that men often enjoy domestic roles more because it's not something
That's a
they
pretty
feel
good
expected to
episode,
do.
yeah.
When Claire returns to work, he implies that
Anniversary.
she's had an easy time of it, staying home and looking after the house and kids.
After a 20-year vacation, Claire is rejoining the workforce.
Not a vacation. This is a great illustration of how child rearing can be really fun when it's not your sole responsibility, or when it's something you feel you're choosing rather than it being externally imposed. Phil is able to be the fun, playful parent because his interactions with his kids are seen as a bonus. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
Claire has always had to be bad cop because the admin side of parenting, which includes punishing the
But
kids,
she
falls
tries
to her as the main
to connect
caregiver.
with their kids.
Oh my
And she does.
God.
Oh, nobody does.
As Modern Family progresses and Claire goes back to work, we begin to see a new side of her. Being more powerful in the world means she's actually vulnerable in a way we rarely see early on, with the
I
exception
guess,
of her
yeah.
town council run.
Why are you not running for office?
Because I don't want to lose!
In that instance, we see how damaging the combination of perfectionism, ambition, and stay-at-home motherhood has been to Claire's self-esteem.
Ugh.
She no longer thinks she can achieve what she wants to.
I haven't done anything outside of my house in 18...
Oh man, that kind of is hitting me. Perfectionism sort of after like a lonely phase. Think about like making content during COVID times and then deleting a lot of that content, but still having some of the files so I can look back fondly. So I don't talk about it that much anymore. But even themes like this, when I hear about them in iCarly, like when Carly in the Modern Revival was saying how, yeah, I'm finally after years reviving my channel again. Like that line really hit for me, like because that show started in 2021, a time when I was regularly making content, and I only have like some of the surviving footage from that year, deleted it out of perfectionism. But anyway, I can't hold on to that as a wound. That's such a horrible wound to hold on to, like caring what other people think, validation, not validating yourself, especially when it comes to hard work. Because think about it, perfectionism, it isn't real, but there is standards, of course. But one of the things that I have learned not to be critical about myself when it comes to making content is one thing, powerful thing, is acknowledging that there is so much terrible content out there being put out on a daily basis by creators that are knowingly making bad content. And so if I'm striving to make something, whatever, experimental, thematically core valued towards what I believe or whatever, and where my acting isn't good enough, I don't look good enough, I cannot hold that standard against myself if I'm being genuine about the content I'm making. And there is a certain point with my creative goals, I don't want to speak too much about them. Like I want to be making videos this year and next year, but if by the end of next year, in the end of like 23, 24 months from now, if I'm not making any, if it's a struggle for me to make content, or I don't really have any like new fans, I'd be happy if I had 70 subscribers by the end of this year. I really would. I feel like 70 is a fine number to feel like you have somewhat of an audience. But yeah, if I'm struggling with content by the end of 2027, then I'm quitting making content for a while. Because if it's really important to me, because I've struggled with it for years. But if it's not struggled, but like perfectionistically erased stuff and struggled. So yeah, if by the end of 2027 I'm not making good content, I'll quit for at least a few years and not think about making content for at least a year or two by 2027. And so, but that's from 24 months now till 2027. Let me grind towards these reviews and films. All right, I need to shut up about my goals. Because if I talk too much about them, they
I don't
won't
want
come
the first
true.
thing I do to be a complete failure.
As she eases herself back into
This is
the
what I love
workforce,
about
she
Modern
has to remind
Family.
herself, and also Jay,
This is what I love about Modern Family. Characters like Jay, Phil, Cameron, like they have this creative side and savvy side because it's almost like they want to leave a legacy, especially someone like Jay, Cam, who's also creative, Phil, who's also creative. They tap into their abilities and inspire others too, because they make stuff. They've made like stuff in their careers that they can look back fondly on, and so that's a big motivating factor. Seeing characters like Jay or Phil or Cam striving to make something, a project or something, and like knowing that they're gonna look back fondly on it, and so they're excited to pursue it. Because I do think being excited, emotionally invested in your work is just as important. A lot of people might argue more important than intellectualizing your work or what you're going to talk about. Just think about it, the intellectualizing approach sucks. I'm thinking about a video that I made in 2021 April where I'm reviewing this beverage called psychedelic water, which I saw advertised on TikTok at the time, so I bought it. I was working a job where I could afford it, and reviewing that just came naturally to me in this, now that I'm in my mid-20s compared to my early 20s back then. I feel like I'd have to prepare myself. Okay, I'm gonna kind of structure a little where I say at least these 3 talking points. I'm gonna try to give off a certain look because I've been so many different types of people, character developments since 2021 April when I had red hair. So yeah, just wanting to look back more fondly on my decisions, even as recently as January, wanting to look back fondly on all the classic Doctor Who episodes that I just can't review because I only have about 3 points worth talking about and various other reasons. Let's go ahead and finish this video. 5 minutes left.
her new boss, of the value of her experiences.
Let me drop a like before I forget.
I raised 3 children, and I had a career before this.
In later seasons, as she gets back into the flow of her career, we get a utopian snapshot of what a family looks like when everyone is playing to their strengths. Claire is comfortable bringing home money, while Phil is comfortable letting her do that, taking more of a pastoral role at home. And in response to feeling more
He's still a
fulfilled,
realtor.
Claire also becomes better at the big gestures that Phil loves. We see throughout the series that
Yeah,
Phil's
with
love
the one
language is
magic
basically giant PDAs. He likes to spoil Claire, and he wishes she'd spoil him back. But at first, she has real trouble replicating that because it doesn't come naturally to her.
You never want anything.
Things I want: robot dog, night vision goggles, bug vacuum, GPS watch, speakers that look like rocks. I love my wife, but she sucks at giving gifts.
As the series goes on and she begins to be more fulfilled outside of the home, her domineering nature also seems to lessen somewhat around her family. But interestingly, she takes on even more traditionally masculine traits at this point too, and that includes in gift giving. After replacing Phil as the breadwinner when she has a large disposable income of her own, Claire is able to indulge him with the lavish gestures and spontaneity he desires.
I
This
only
aligns her
remember
not
one
just with
episode where
Jay,
she does that, and that's the magic trick.
He's always
Valentine's
surprising me
episode.
with little presents, fun getaways.
but also with many men from TV who show their affection through expensive gifts. Claire isn't a traditional
I haven't watched The
romantic.
Office in
Get back your
years.
engagement ring and buy you a washer dryer.
And it takes her a while to work out how to show Phil she loves him. It turns out for Claire,
I'm
buying
speeding
Phil
this up.
extremely expensive gifts, such as a magic shop, is her way of
Oh,
making
she
up
bought
for what
him
her
a
brain as
magic
her former
shop.
transgressions.
I didn't
Sure, kids are
realize that.
grown. I run a company. You
I
got
thought
a
he
day
bought
job.
the
I thought maybe it
magic
was
shop.
time you picked up an old hobby.
Keys to your new magic shop.
Meanwhile, what Phil picks
Whoa.
up on, and this is something many men who buy expensive gifts are also guilty of, is that this still keeps Claire in control.
Kind of funny that you're making up for making a decision that should have been mine by making another decision for me.
This shift in the family power dynamic doesn't mean that Claire simply
I
adopts
don't remember
all
that
masculine
episode
traits or
that
Phil all feminine ones. It can be difficult to undo years of learned gender behaviors. As sociologist Andrea Doucette says, you can't just reverse the genders. What Claire and Phil do show us, however, is that focusing on these traditional roles can be reductive because
Masculine and
people's
feminine.
personalities don't necessarily
Phil
fit with
and
the roles
Claire.
we ascribe to them. Actually, Phil and Claire become closer by meeting one another in the middle. Earlier in the
Yeah.
show's run, Claire hides how hard she finds her life, while Phil is happy-go-lucky. But towards the
Yeah.
end, they're both more comfortable with admitting what's going on and communicating about how they can help each other get
Yeah.
through it.
Remember how terrified I was when I took over for my dad? And suddenly, you were there. You just put your arms around me, and it made me realize I'm
All
not going
right,
through
I
this
think I
alone.
can move
Now
on
that
to
she
the
has
next
appropriate space
video.
and time to flex her business muscles, Claire's also more able to see the magic in her husband's weird.
All right,
We
So
started
this
laughing at
video-
Phil Dunphy's parenting in episode.
this video is called how Modern Family Phil made the uncool dad like a trope. Pretty cool. So yeah, like I said, Phil, great character, well-rounded, and I think a really great example of a TV father. Very much up there for me. But like, let's see what this has to say.
Episode 1 of Modern Family. He tells us,
I'm the cool dad. That's my thing.
I'm hip.
and it's funny because right away
Yeah,
we
this
know that Phil
introduction
isn't
is
cool
cringy with
in the
High School
traditional
Musical.
sense of the word. It's reinforced over and over
It's
again that he's
basketball movie.
incredibly nerdy with slightly
Yeah.
weird interests and goofy tendencies. And yet over 11 seasons, we
Philosophy.
come to agree with him. He might not be a cool guy, but he is a cool dad.
Fact, I am the cool dad.
He's a new, better revamp of the bumbling dad
Yeah.
trope. And in the years since Modern Family ended, we
Better
can
than
see this
Homer
cool
Simpson.
dad legacy expanding through new iterations. So here are Phil Dunphy's 7
Another blue
lessons
dog
on how
that
to
isn't
ace
Blue's
parenting by making it fun, gentle, and packed with philosophy.
Philosophy,
Phil
a hardbound collection of all the life lessons I've learned.
Hear us out. Phil's
Embrace your-
uncoolness is actually cool. No, we don't specifically mean the cheerleading or the magic, but the fact that he's maintained such varied interests long into adulthood is an
Yeah.
important part of his parenting persona. Hollywood
Yeah.
is packed wall to wall with bumbling dad characters, guys
Yeah.
who sit back and crack open a beer and let their wife do all the childcare, or sometimes take
Play
care
it
of them too.
Let's get some beer in you, and then it's right to bed.
That's not Phil. He pursues his interests from
Yeah.
tech to tightrope
That's what I
walking.
like.
And that gives his kids really important lessons on not giving up, on finding joy in everyday things, and being brave.
This is
All
how
week
I
long, I've been
I want to
telling
make
my girls
projects.
how to act
and
instead of
it's a little bit
showing them.
less
But not
difficult,
Phil.
but more
Instead of
difficult.
talking the talk, Phil walked the walk.
Yeah.
From cartoon characters like Homer Simpson and Peter Griffin to sitcom favorites like Ross Geller, the bumbling dad is traditionally a punchline. Though in more dramatic looks like Tully, the useless video game addicted father
What the fuck?
represents something sinister about how we let postpartum women down.
And I wouldn't ever expect her to drive drunk like that, or leave the house
Yeah,
without
that's
telling me so no one's watching the kids.
But weren't you home?
These are not the types of shows I
Yeah.
would watch.
Sing her.
She's so very beautiful. Why are you here with me?
Because she's always so tired and she's always making lists of things for me to do.
Maybe if you did them, she wouldn't be so tired.
But there's something very important that sets him apart from other bumbling dads on screen. His presence. Phil is always physically around for Claire and for the kids. And he's mentally present. He connects with all 3 of his children on their level.
Yeah,
He
I
takes
get it.
time out of whatever it is he's doing to make sure his kids are comfortable.
Always keep the rhythm in your feet. Then we're going to add just a little party in the shoulders, all right? Now let's get those arms going.
This dad who plays has been taken further as an archetype since Phil in examples like Bluey's dad, Bandit. He's the modern kids show update to what Phil showed us. The most important thing
What's interesting also about Phil that people like me have tried to take years to try to formulate. He's able to kind of organize and have a sort of formula for stuff. Like he just explained to Alex, it's in the shoulders and whatever else he said. We'll probably go back a little bit. Like he said that about like approaching things with a sense of humor. He said, he improvised a knock joke. I think in the Caught in the Act episode, like people like me have tried to formulate improvisational tools like that for years. Like he there's moments where he's like, oh, I'm gonna think of a joke to say the character, and he thinks of it. And I like that the writers gave him that style. People like me wish that they could be like that in real life. Heck yeah.
Has been taken further.
Now let's get those arms going.
This dad who plays has been taken further as an archetype since Phil in examples like Bluey's dad, Bandit. He's the modern kids show update to what Phil showed us. The most important thing kids really want from their parents is simple but hard: to be there and make fun moments. Phil and Claire have a classic good cop, bad cop dynamic, and Phil gets the easy ride. He's the fun parent.
Hey guys, guess who's taking you go-karting today?
Hey, why? Are we in trouble?
What does this
But
mean?
part of his
Seriously.
character arc is that he comes to accept that he has the easy ride.
I don't like being you.
Oh. Serious when he has to be. In Phil's case, he's forthcoming with important advice for his kids, and he's unafraid to share his raw emotions too.
You
Yeah,
have
yeah.
value, talent,
He
and
does.
potential that their tests can't measure. Who cares if you don't fit into their little box? You're finding your way. That's what your 20s are for. To take chances, to make mistakes and to learn from them.
This puts Phil in a different category to many other on-screen
wait to try to
dads.
do
In
TV.
movies from The Little Mermaid to Meet the Parents, fathers are shown to flex their authority and treat their daughters particularly like pure virginal princesses. They'll act terrifyingly to protect their little girls.
But frankly, sir, I'm a little terrified of being your son-in-law.
But Phil acknowledges that his children are human, capable of making
Yeah.
mistakes and their own decisions too. Phil does step up to protect his children too, but in a
That's
warmer,
pretty
more emotionally open way. One of Phil's most spectacular parenting moments is when Haley is trying to
Yeah.
get a rise out of both of her parents with a gross older guy. Claire's parenting playbook is passed down from him.
Yeah.
He's much more sensitive and push their parents' buttons. Children are looking for the security of boundaries.
Yeah.
Going after her. This little chicken game may work for your dad, but it doesn't work for me. That's my little girl.
What's this?
Just enjoy it.
So, what makes him a great dad is this combination of fun, boundaries, and an openness that provides his children a sense of respect. It's played as a joke, but Phil describes his style of parenting as parenting.
Act like a parent,
Oh, yeah.
talk like a peer. I call it
See, this is what I mean by witty, clever wordplay. Like, people can think of that if they try to think of jokes. But you know what I mean? Just that easily. I've thought about that joke since that episode, since I've watched that episode months ago.
Actually, according to psychologists, this is a great strategy. Speaking to your child
Okay.
as though they're an equal builds their self-esteem and their trust in you, which in turn
So
means
he's
they're
just
more
talking
likely to let
about
you guide
Alex.
them. And many of Phil's parenting strategies appear on UNICEF's list of ways to talk to your teen. He communicates
That's how you know it was a relationship worth having.
his wisdom to
Learn
his kids.
from
Like when he gives
your
Haley a
experience.
hardbound book of lessons when she goes off to college.
If you
Okay. Boring.
Firstly, because it shows us that even great parents make mistakes.
fact,
The counter or a booth?
whatever seems right to you.
Sometimes, Phil
Boy.
seems almost absurdly sunny-natured. It's particularly stark in relation to Claire's more
Be
negative outlook.
optimistic.
No,
Trey.
Phil, I can't. I can't. I am tired and I am sweaty. And as much as I have tried to stay positive like you all day, I think sometimes we need to just face certain facts.
But as well as being uplifting to watch, Phil's optimism is actually a really important part of how he parents. Sociologist Christine Carter writes that there's a close link between how optimistically kids think and how healthy and happy they are. And she goes on to say that one of the best ways we can foster optimism in our children is to model it ourselves.
Remember, keep a positive
Great. Okay, interesting video. I don't think in terms of doing research for a TV fights that video necessarily taught me anything, but thank you to the Take for these essays. Lastly, we have this video that I saw that said Modern Family Phil Dunphy is the worst dad. That's quite the interesting angle. I wonder what this person is going to argue about. What's she going to talk about? Maybe that one of his kids is neglected or something. Let's hear this person out.
Okay, here's the thing. When I discuss my overall disdain for Phil Dunphy, people try to say, oh my god, no, he's a great dad. He's just a terrible husband. I wouldn't want him as a husband, but he's a great dad. I hate Phil Dunphy because he's a terrible husband and a terrible father.
What?
Now,
I disagree.
A point that people will bring up when I bring up my absolute disdain for Phil Dunphy is A, that there are worse dads out there. Of course there are worse dads out there. There's always going to be a worse dad, but there's also always going to be a better dad because Phil Dunphy is only there when he absolutely has to be.
No.
Phil Dunphy is only there, and it's usually when he can get a reward for it, and usually the reward is something that he planned in advance, okay?
He genuinely
and I think
likes
the best
hanging out
example will always be when Alex is studying so hard that she doesn't sleep for a solid, week. There's a 3-day period where Alex is just walking around with a book. I don't have a book under here. I usually have a book under here. Oh, here we go. Alex is walking around with a book going like this.
I guess there's times where he gets a reward out of it. Tries to get a reward out of it.
That's Alex for the entirety of the episode, right? And that, Claire is worried about Haley because Haley is doing something utterly unusual. She's studying and she's being calm, which seems like maybe Claire should be happy that that's happening, but that's so out of Haley's range of what she's usually doing that it's odd, it's weird, it's uncommon. So Claire is freaking out about Haley. Should she have more capacity to pay attention to more than one kid at once? Sure, yeah, but
I forgot what
people will
episode
bring
this
up the
is.
fact
Is
that
this
they think that Phil Dunphy is the best husband and father in the entire world, specifically, because he points to Alex and goes, oh, that's something that we should worry about. Oh, I think we should worry about Alex. Oh, should we be worried about Alex? I think we might need to be worried about Alex, but he doesn't do anything about it. He sets an alarm for 2 a.m. at one point to wake Alex up, to not wake Alex up, to force her to close the book and go to sleep, okay? Alex turns the alarm off because she's awake. So she you got the book, you got the there's a beep, 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 beep.
I kind of want to rewatch this episode.
And then she walks back and she continues her studying. And that's the only thing that we see Phil do the entire episode, except for tell Claire, I think we should worry about Alex. I am worried about Alex, Claire. Aren't you worried about Alex? And Claire thinks that Phil is doing something. Because he keeps saying he's going to do something. And she trusts her husband to not be a complete and utter bozo. She married him for some reason, right? She doesn't think he's a complete buffoon. She thinks that he has his buffoon-like moments, but that he does overall have the capacity to be a good dad and be a good husband. She thinks that he's genuinely a good husband. So, what does she know, right?
What?
But he's not, and he's proving it more and more every 30 seconds by the fact that he's doing nothing to help his daughter, who is literally awake for 3 days straight. And people act like Claire is the monster in this situation because Claire is doing nothing. She's
I don't
worried
know.
about Haley.
I can
her other daughter,
suspend
'cause
my disbelief that it's just part of the joke. Alex kind of being up in her studies is part of the joke, and the family's just a little bit oblivious because Alex kind of fits that role. But yeah, it's a fair angle because that's got me thinking, does Phil kind of only care about stuff if he gets a reward out of it? Like the Bullfrogs episode, right? He only cares to show kind of Haley around the school because it's his school. He loved his time there. But at the same token, he wants to do that because he cares about his daughter and wants her to appreciate the same way he did. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't think he hangs out with Luke for any reward other than he likes hanging out with him. But yeah.
She has 3 kids. She's worried about Haley, and Phil is worried about Alex. So Claire is like, Phil's taking care of Alex, but Phil doesn't take care of Alex the entire episode. And by the end of the episode, where Alex literally is bumping into walls and can't
Is
remember
this the
what
whole
scene
argument
is and
for
all
the
of that,
episode?
calls
The whole
out,
video?
Claire, I can't read anymore. I can't make just kind of things of the words. And she goes up to Claire and she goes, will you read to me, Mommy? And Claire finally steps in and takes care of Alex and closes the book and goes, let's get you to bed. And Phil Dunphy, who has done all, you get it, you understand, through the entirety of the episode still gets the praise for having pointed out that Alex is struggling while doing nothing. The whole time he's doing nothing, and people still point to that episode, go, oh my God, what I wouldn't do for a father like Phil, what I wouldn't do for a husband like Phil, because there are genuinely people out there who also think that he's a good husband, what I wouldn't do to have Phil as my dad, just because he's not angry doesn't mean he is good. Especially when you consider the fact that even though he's not angry, he still gets angry.
He does.
And usually his anger isn't reasonable. It isn't like available for constructive criticism. And it quickly turns into abusive behavior every single time.
Life.
So you have to be careful of that fun dad, because if you do
I think
one
his anger is
wrong
pretty
thing and step
harmless.
out of his way with all the barriers that he has completely opened for you, he doesn't set rules, he doesn't set guidelines, he just has a button that you can't push, but it's an invisible button and you'll never know where it is because it moves places all the time. And if that button gets pushed, then he gets mad and you get punished, but you don't really know why you're being punished, even if you do know why you're being punished, because last time that you did that, you didn't get punished, but this time you did this, you are getting punished. Say what you will about Claire Dunphy, but you know why you're getting punished from her every time. You know why you're in trouble because she will
Kind of
tell
a
you in
fair
no
point.
uncertain terms, and her justice is usually pretty reasonable, except for the time with the
Say
earthquake.
his judgment's all
In
over
which
the
case,
place.
she and Haley were both on
and
each other's
subject
nerves
to
at the
change.
worst possible time,
Fair.
and it was just like kind of building up to a volcano. But in all other cases, when we see Claire punish her kids, she's being completely reasonable about the entire thing. When we see Phil Dunphy punish his kids, show me the reason. Show it to me. Show me the reason. Okay, bye. Anyways, also, I spilled my coffee. I made my coffee, ate my dinner, went to drink my coffee, like first sip, fell out of my hand, like all over. Now it's just like, I did all the cleaning stuff. Video of the day, I'm trying to be more consistent. It really kindly pointed out. This is
Okay, I guess that's pretty much it, you guys. Yeah. All right, guys. I have more evaluating to do when it comes to which episode I'm going to review next. All right. Thanks for sticking around. See you whenever I next live stream. Goodbye.